The second issue, which to me is just as horrible and needs to be discussed, is his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. Whether it's
Kristen, me a break.
What do you mean, give me a break? Kristen Welker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Walker.
I'm
Caitlin
sorry.
Collins last week.
I worked with Kristen when I worked at the White House.
Will you give me a break?
Say
Have
that
you
you're
no
going up
shame
against
as a woman?
It was a heated scene on Abby Phillip CNN show as Ana Navarro absolutely went off on MAGA goon Caroline Sunshine. We're going to take a look at clips of this panel that included Charles Blow and Hal Lambert in addition to Ana Navarro and Caroline Sunshine. I have thoughts to share as well. Let's check this one out together.
President Trump's monumental meltdown. Tonight, the walls appear to be closing in on the president. His war in Iran is as unpopular as ever as it stretches into its 100th day. Americans are worried about their finances more than ever before, and he's suffered a series of legal losses that are throwing his priorities for a loop. And his own party is now fiercely pushing back on some of his agenda. It all comes to a head during this interview with NBC's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this weekend. Welker pressed Trump on a number of conspiracy theories, first about January 6th rioters, then the lie that California's election is rigged. But instead of responding with evidence or proof of any kind, Trump resorted to insults and smears before he stormed off altogether.
You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about, I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about...
Your elections in this country, we're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But, Mr. President...
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
One of the most revealing things about that exchange is that she kept asking for proof. There was no proof being put on the table. And when the president attacks the media, calling them biased, it's usually because they're correcting him on some very obvious falsehoods, like the one that he tried to repeat in that interview, Charles.
Like, the president wants to say this. You have to let me lie without interrupting me. You have to let me lie and not push back on it. And if you don't give me that kind of coverage, then I do not like the media. And the other thing that the president does is that he substitutes himself for the country all the time. I think people have to really be careful when they listen to him, because that's an authoritarian thing. When he says that they are the enemy of the country, he really means that they are the enemy of me because they won't let me lie. When he says that people are attacking the country, he really means that they are attacking him. The substitution is a very real thing that happens with Donald Trump in the way that he communicates. And I think everybody needs to pay attention to that.
Why can't Trump take corrections, tough questions? Why can't he put proof on the table of his assertions?
Well, I think you watch the president more than anybody, and I hope everybody at this table would be honest about the fact that the president of the United States takes more tough questions on a daily basis than just about any other president in the modern era. Certainly the last one that we had. Oh, no, I think he should do this two to three times a week. This was a great interview.
Storm out of interviews?
Oh, no, absolutely, because the president's base and most of the country still views the mainstream media as very biased against them. They feel very demonized by the media. They feel very misunderstood.
Most of the country does not. We've got 60+% of the country who can't stand Donald Trump. So they are not on the side. Most people are not on the side of Donald Trump.
By the media, they don't feel like
the mainstream media. That wasn't the question I asked. I asked why won't he present
to try to
actual proof of the thing that he's claiming?
Can I talk about that? Because that's always the comeback. Where's the evidence?
Yeah, because
the evidence is this.
If you're going to claim fraud, there should be some evidence.
Okay.
That's
the evidence is this. You have a California system that enables fraud to happen easily. You don't have voter ID. You have mass mail-out ballots. You have voter cards.
That's not evidence. That's
time out.
That's just a description
of
an electoral system.
It's an electoral system that's ripe for fraud.
Ripe for fraud is not fraud.
And then you
have not fraud.
No, but then you have statistical anomalies where you have Rahman, who was third place, was getting 20% of the vote, and then the vote after the election day, she gets 40% of the vote.
So that's a total speculation. Is also not true. It is so infuriating to watch people try to make speculation into proof.
It's not speculation. That's data.
That is not data.
We're going to spend a whole segment on the California race in just a moment. So we're going to talk through some of the stuff that you're talking about there. But I actually think that we can boil it down much more simply than this. Trump falsely believes that he won the 2020 election, that he lost. When he is challenged on that, He gets upset and he storms out of an interview. Explain that one.
They were talking about the mayoral race in California, and he was talking about the fraud there, the rigged election there.
Okay.
That's what they were
It's
talking
rigged?
about.
You believe it's rigged?
I do believe it's rigged.
Hold on.
Oh my God. We can wrap the show up there.
100% rigged.
We can wrap the
In
show
that
up there.
exchange, he also was talking about
his
the
favorite
election
obsession,
that
which
he
is
lost in
2020.
What's that?
In that exchange, he also was talking about the election that he lost in 2020.
Well, he talked
You know
about
that, right?
95%. He also got mad because he has 90%.
What's the explanation for that?
95% negative press coverage. He's sitting there in a negative press interview.
What does press conference
What is
have
a
to do with
negative
the fact
press
that she
interview?
asked for proof of fraud?
Here's the thing about the president. When he was candidate Trump and they had the primary and he lost to Ted Cruz, the first thing he said was it was rigged. And he insisted that the state officials change the actual results of that primary. You remember that. And Ted Cruz was very upset by that because he called Ted Cruz a liar. That was what, 10 years ago. So to characterize
still calling Ted Cruz a liar
his
because that's
conversation,
not true.
so
I
to
wish we could go
characterize
back
his
to that time.
conversation without an understanding of who he has been, I think is unfair to the conversation we're supposed to be having now. He's always done this.
Caroline also suggested that Trump loves taking tough questions, but here is his very real history of not taking tough questions that he doesn't like. Listen.
Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
Are you?
That's no way to talk. It's no way to talk. I think we have enough of an interview here, Hope. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Let's go.
The only way it's not going to happen again is you have to solve the problem of the presidential rigged election of 2020.
Mr. President, if I'm... Wait, one more question.
The woman that you said was a great doctor in that video that you retweeted last night said that masks don't work and there is a cure for COVID-19, both of which health experts say is not true. She's also made videos saying that doctors make medicine using DNA from aliens and that they're trying to create a vaccine to make you immune from becoming religious.
Well, maybe it's the same, maybe it's not.
Last week, well, real quick. Last
Okay,
week
thank you very
masks-
much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
There's
no.
two. Hold on, because I haven't.
Before we get into the really heated part with Ana Navarro and Caroline Sunshine, I just wanted to pause here for a minute and say the fact of the matter is, and everyone who isn't in the MAGA cult understands this, Donald Trump is a massive crybaby. His MAGA base, they're all massive crybabies. And whether Hal Lambert actually believes what he's saying or not, all of these MAGA pundits that go on Abby Phillip show do nothing but create fantasy and try to muddy the waters to make sane, rational people question what's going on. You know, there are probably maybe people that watch Hal Lambert calmly saying these things and think, oh, maybe the election was rigged. Maybe there's something going on. And there's absolutely no evidence of that, as Charles Blow is saying here. There have been study after study after study of voter fraud. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. But Donald Trump, because he's a loser and a crybaby, is going to continue to present this myth. And then these MAGA goons like Caroline Sunshine and Hal Lambert and Scott Jennings and Ben Ferguson and all the rest that go on these CNN shows like Abby Phillip just perpetuate this myth to try to muddy the waters. That's it. Hal Lambert says 95% of press coverage is against Donald Trump. He's just making up a number. There was no study that showed that to be true. And I have long believed part of the problem and part of the reason that we're stuck with Donald Trump is the media trying to normalize him from day one. Like was said, you know, he's been doing this for 10 years. When he started this BS with the enemy of the people and all of that, the press should have just said, no, we're not covering you. The media conglomerate should have said, we're not going to send our people out to be berated and insulted by this scumbag. And Donald Trump would have curled up into the fetal position and cried like the baby that he is because he can't stand not to be the center of attention and talked about all of the time.
Things that I think need to be addressed in the clip that we saw from the Meet the Press interview. The first is him alleging that he didn't lose the 2020 election. Trump and his team filed over 60 challenges in court and lost every single one of them. So there is no evidence that held up in court. That's number one issue. The second issue, which to me is just as horrible and needs to be discussed, is his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. whether it's
Give
Kristen.
me a break.
What do you mean give me a break? Kristen Welker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Walker.
I'm
Caitlin
sorry.
Collins last
I've
week.
worked with
The woman
Kristen
you
when I
called
worked
Piggy.
at the White
Will
House.
you give me a
For you to
break?
say
Have
that
you
you're
no
going up
shame
against
as a
another
woman
woman? No.
that we hear
Kristen
him
was
call them
tougher
ugly
on-
and piggy and
Kristen
crooked
was
and
tougher
liars
on him
and
in
stupid
that interview
and bad journalists?
than I have
Have
seen
you
most.
absolutely
That's
no
probably the
solidarity with
toughest
women?
interview I've
Oh
seen
my
him
God, I
face
can't believe you
to
sit
date.
here and tell
He
me to give
pushed
you a
up
break.
against
But
her
in
because
this
she was a
network,
tough
we hear
journalist.
him
Hold on,
tell
Caroline,
our journalist that
let me let
she's
her
not
finish
fit to
because
be
she
a
didn't finish
journalist
her thought.
because she doesn't smile. How dare you tell me to give you a break? Have some shame.
Why would the
don't you?
president tell a woman that she doesn't smile enough when she's working, asking him a question?
Because he's an equal opportunity offender. And let's not pretend. Let me explain how the
Give me
game.
another example of
Let
him
me
telling
explain how the
a
game.
man-
Let me explain how the game works.
Give me an
Because
example of him being equal
Let me explain how the game
opportunity
works because
with
Caitlin
that
got something out of that
particular
exchange
insult,
too.
Caroline.
The president gets a lot out of having combative exchanges with journalists. His base loves it. His poll. That's why I said he should do 2 to 3 more of these a week. His poll numbers go up. But Caitlin's getting something out of it too. So many journalists have made their careers in this country off of being combative with President Trump. Caitlin Collins included, Jim Acosta, many former people. It is all part of the game. It is all part of the theater.
not a
She's
game.
tough.
Jim Acosta lost his job at CNN.
Why is it a game
But
to
the
you?
fact that you guys are going to call this a woman problem, Kristen did one of the toughest interviews I have seen someone do with the president. Up
And
to
he
date,
walked up
she
and
deserves
left
credit
because
for
he
that.
couldn't
But
take it.
He didn't push back.
She
She's
flew
a
all the
woman.
way to
He pushed
Wisconsin,
back. It
left,
was tough
left her, and
questions.
did
Grow up.
went to do her job. No, the guy needs to grow up. He's the president of the United States. He needs to grow up, and instead of walking out, having
many
a
interviews did
tantrum
Biden
and
do?
taking-
How many interviews did Biden
And
do
how much
like
did you
that?
criticize
Biden
him?
did an interview.
Okay, Biden is back in the White House. We can discuss
That
it.
is
The Biden is like a
that
reflex.
separate
Jesus.
conversation
It's the truth.
than just
So is the 2020 election.
What are you
Biden,
doing?
blah, 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 blah,
Guys,
Biden,
guys,
blah,
guys,
blah,
guys,
blah, blah,
one at a
blah,
time,
Biden.
please. Elsie, you were making
Jesus.
a point.
I get it. You want the president to look good.
I get it. You want to talk about 2020. I mean, I'm bringing up
he
Biden.
does.
The president-
You said
I actually brought up 2015 when he started beginning the lies
did that too.
about talking about how elections have been stolen. I was just letting you know there's a pattern here that's been 2 years long. That's why I brought that up. But to the point I'm trying to...
He's the guy that's in the White House. These douchebags like Hal Lambert are still going to be saying, what about Biden 20 years from now if they're still around on TV? Absolutely spot on from Ana Navarro to say blah, 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 Biden, because that's all they have. They cannot legitimately defend this clown that is the God King of their party. The guy has no substance. He is hated by the American people other than the MAGA cult. They can say all they want about how great he is and how loved he is and all of that. We all know that that is nonsense. They have nothing but what about Biden? I didn't think Biden was a good president either, but he was at least presidential. Donald Trump is a clown.
Say right now is that what do you want this nation to gravitate towards? The behavior that we've seen in which you berate women, or behavior in which you learn how to negotiate with someone that you don't agree with, but you don't need to yell or get up
It's
and
not
leave
about
it at an
women. It's
interview.
about
It's the one way that you
So
will
how-
berate
lem-
women because
how-
apparently
let me
it's
ask
good
you
for
this,
your
because
image.
I hear you guys pushing
That's the
back
talk, yeah.
on LZ and Anna and suggesting that maybe this is somehow about Joe Biden, which it's not. Are you comfortable with Trump being challenged on something and rather than defending his point, just simply storming off of
Look,
an interview?
he did defend his point. She kept on and on with the same
How did he
question.
defend it?
What did he
He
defend?
said that he thought
Where's
the
the
election
proof?
was rigged. He answered the
yeah,
question.
and she asked for
evidence.
proof, and he provided
but
what?
it goes back. He talks about what I just said. If you look at the whole election system
What you
in
said didn't make any
California-
sense.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't make any
listen,
sense.
and I'm not.
And it's not a fact.
I just want to
And
be
it's not
clear.
proof.
I just
It
want
is a fact.
I just
It's
want to be
not
clear.
proof.
We are going to tackle what you were saying about California because there is no proof of what
There
you're
is
saying
no
about
proof.
California. But in this particular segment, I want to deal with the long running Trump obsession, which he also brought up in that interview with his loss in 2020, which he has now tasked the government with trying to validate, even though there's no proof of it. Why is it that when he is challenged on that, he can't answer for it?
Well, look, we know there were, after the fact, we know there were problems in Arizona. We know there were problems in Georgia.
my God.
We know after investigation.
they?
You can't prove that in 45
what
days.
were they,
okay?
Hal? It's been 6 years.
What were they?
What were the problems?
There were problems with the voters in Georgia. They
There
found
were-
that
there were
there
no
were
problems.
voters that were
Where's
there
the
were voters
fraud?
that.
There was no problem
How
in
many
Arizona.
fraudulent votes were cast in Georgia? Because I live in Georgia. I want to get you live.
And I lived in Arizona.
That's a lot. Okay, first of all,
And I lived in
we can't even have this
Arizona. There was
conversation.
nothing
We can't have this
wrong with
conversation.
Arizona.
This man just said that there were thousands of
The more you guys
fraudulent
yell
votes.
there's no fraud, the more likely there was fraud.
That's
The
amazing.
more that you lie, the more we're going to push back on the fact that you are
81
lying.
million votes.
The more that-
81 million
The Heritage
votes.
Foundation keeps the
81
largest
million.
database of voter fraud.
This is so
of
ridiculous.
anybody.
I wanna
They
walk
keep-
off
They keep
this
30.
thing.
They keep.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got to finish this point. I got to finish this
Hold on
point.
a
They keep
second.
30 years. They've tracked 32 elections, 100 million votes. They have found 39 total cases
That's so absurd.
of voter
It's so absurd.
The Heritage Foundation is
where's your
absurd.
proof?
Where's your proof?
Where's your
I
proof?
just cited my source. What is your source?
I got a question for you.
I just cited, no, because I don't want
Wait, hold on,
I want to know what your source
hold on,
is.
Hal. You said
What
it's
is your
absurd.
source?
Why is it
Mine
absurd?
is the
Here's why
Heritage
it's absurd.
Foundation.
Do you think there's no H-1B visa
Where is
fraud?
your source?
Do you think there's no Medicare fraud?
You don't have
Do you
any
think there's no
source.
home health care fraud?
And this
Can
is
you
the-
let me finish?
So Hal Lambert just throws out these random things that have absolutely nothing to do with elections. And again, this is part of the problem here is CNN. They should not continue to have these people on. I don't know who they would find, but all of the MAGA people, Donald Trump doesn't understand the difference between fact and opinion and fiction because he's living in his own fantasy world. These pundits like Hal Lambert, I don't know if they know or not, if they're just lying. But we have Charles Blow here presenting facts, and the people on the left or the Democrats or the progressives or whatever term that you want to use who go on Abby Phillip show, they have evidence. They have facts behind them, and the MAGA people are always just like, I disagree. That's just, you're wrong. That's not true. And how do you reckon with that? How do you debate with someone who does not exist in a fact-based world?
You're not saying a source.
Guys.
You're not saying a source.
There's fraud all over
Where
the
is
federal
your
government. There's
source?
fraud all over the states.
Where is
federal
your
funding.
source?
And yet there's no voter fraud?
Are you kidding? The idea that you're sitting here trying to convince
there
us
Medicare
based
fraud or
on
not?
no source whatsoever
Is there Medicare fraud?
to trust your word and
Unbelievable.
trust the president's word when we know he is lying. And I want to know if you think that was the rigged. I want to know if we're sitting here with two election deniers.
Just a second.
Do you think it's rigged as well?
Tell me there's no fraud in anything. Medicare, Medicaid, H-1B visas, nothing.
You have no source, and you're going to get louder and louder, and it's still not going to work.
California won't allow the federal government to
Louder and louder, and it's still not going to work because you don't have a single source in your whole body.
Stop talking. Guys, stop talking. Because y'all are talking so loud. But to be honest, Hal, you're not saying anything.
Okay, I think I am.
In this
Let's
conversation.
see what the viewers think.
Caroline,
They won't let the federal government even audit their
hold on a
rolls.
second. Caroline wants to
we
have
do
a
source?
quick word, and then we're going to go to
By
a
the
break.
way, I would just add, the president has agreed to do a second interview with Kristen Welker,
girl,
which doesn't
please.
We wanna
surprise
know
me
you're
at
an election
all.
denier.
So Kristen will have her own time to, I'm
stop
sure,
for that.
ask him for further evidence.
ma'am.
It's like you've been upset about
Ma'am.
this.
We are
You're
going
going
to
to
leave
second
that.
way more than Biden
We're
ever
going to
did.
leave that right there. Next for us, the president and MAGA are pushing false conspiracies about the California election.
Biden there at the end from Ana Navarro. That was great. It's just insanity at this point. And I'm sure they're very well paid, but I don't know how Ana Navarro and Charles Blow and these other thoughtful, rational people go on and deal with this other than they're well paid. Because it has to be like being in some kind of asylum or something where you're speaking with someone who doesn't even, they're out orbiting planets that haven't even been discovered yet or named. And I think that the key there at the very end is Hal Lambert saying, and it's always, well, I think what I'm saying is valid. That's opinion. That's not fact. But he said there towards the end, well, let's see what the viewers think, or maybe the viewers agree or whatever. I think that's the game plan with all of these MAGA people that go on. They know that what they're saying on Abby Phillip show night after night after night is nonsense. And they're just trying to create doubt for viewers. There's fraud out there. Look at this. If Medicare and Medicaid and these other things have fraud, which they don't have the fraud that they want to lead you to believe that they have, well, then you can't trust the elections either. So you probably should just stay home because your vote's not going to get counted anyway if you're a real patriot, true American. And we already have low election turnout in the United States. So I'm sure there are people who watch this and go, maybe this Al Lambert guy, maybe this Caroline Sunshine person, they seem really confident in what they're saying. So maybe it is rigged. So what's the point? Why should I vote? I think that's the game plan with all of this. Unless they're just insane. I know a lot of MAGA people just in my everyday life, people offline, people that I grew up with, people that live in my area, and they believe all of this nonsense. They say there is widespread fraud. And if you try to present facts, what about, this YouTube video that I watched that said blah, 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 blah. There's no reasoning with them. You're not going to have a reasonable reasonable debate. And I feel what Ana Navarro feels. You want to just go off on these people at times. And to have Caroline Sunshine say, give me a break to Ana Navarro at the idea that Donald Trump is not berating women, is not horrible to these mostly female and minority reporters, is just not living in the real world. But let me know what you think about all of this. Are you on the side of Ana Navarro here on Abby Phillip and Charles Blow? And if you were on this show, would you be able to contain yourself and not just fly off the handle at these MAGA goons? Or maybe you're on the side of Hal Lambert and Caroline Sunshine with what they had to say to Abby Phillip, and nothing is real. Opinion matters more than facts, no matter what evidence is presented. Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I am Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.